So Matthew from Marble. So who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Mathieu Parr from Marble. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer. So I have the best job in the business, right? I get to talk to the customers, understand what they want, and then work with our engineers to bring that through.
Persistent surveillance. What's wrong with that?
So you absolutely want persistent surveillance, but in the markets that Marble targets today, you don't have it. There is no persistent surveillance. So when you start to think about the Arctic, you start to think about Greenland, and in particular trying to understand that the marine environment, there isn't a solution today that gives you persistent surveillance.
But I mean, we talk about Greenland here, but do we have it over the Baltic where they have our cables?
So we have the ability to go and deploy assets to understand a environment on a specific time frame. So if you say a ship transiting over a data cable and then it starts to loiter there, you could go deploy like a manned aircraft that it could fly over and understand, have a look and see what's happening.
Yeah.
But that isn't persistent coverage. Until the aircraft reaches that point, you don't actually know what the ship is doing.
So we have intermittent, or maybe I would call it like emergency surveillance is maybe almost.
So we want to support organizations to deliver persistent surveillance. So we're focused on a solution that allows us to bring you imagery of what happens in that location and do that by survey instead of a satellite passing over a region, say once a day, or a manned flight going over there for a couple of hours. How do we use a combination of autonomous drones and a localized hangar facility to constantly have drones surveying over that environment? So we want to give you that persistent surveillance.
Yeah. And I've seen your videos and stuff. It's kind of cool. Like it's quite a small drone in a way. It's not very large for being a seafaring 100 kilometers. How fast does it go?
So we go about 160 kilometers an hour.
It's
we
quite
can go
rapid.
about 500 kilometers in range.
Yeah, so it's far, fast. And I think there was another thing, there's two Matthews, but the other Matthew was telling me, the CEO, that you have quite good cameras, and because you go fast and you can go kind of low also,
yes.
you can actually capture, like, for example, the names of the ships. You can even see, he said, of course, he said something, you can go higher, you get a lower resolution, but you can, I mean, depends on how high you go, you can work on this. But he was able to, like, you can see people on a boat, you can almost, like, if you're close enough, you can see their faces, and you see what's on the name of the boat. If there's a ship, called Eagle something, Eagle S or something might say on the boat, on the ship, you could see that because you get it from you get a side shot, yeah. So you don't have the top shot, you get kind of a side shot, which gives you knowledge of things that you otherwise wouldn't get if you do it like a flight, like a high flying over.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. The aircraft isn't large. So the aircraft's about a meter and a half in wingspan, so relatively small. But when we've looked at the actual challenge that we think that the users want to achieve, so this ability to survey a large area, we think it drives you in a different direction to where people have gone today. So we're focused on small, high-speed drones that can rapidly deploy around a large area. So if you take that sort of 500-kilometer range, you end up actually saying I can survey about 15,000 square kilometers a day, which is a really big area.
And you can buy a couple of drones that you would have a small fleet, and they can autonomously start land and take off, and you can rotate them.
Yes,
right?
So our focus is on how do we give you persistent cover. So we do that effectively through relaying drones as they fly over that region, and then we also provide the hangar facility that the drone docks into. They're electric drones, so they recharge and then go and deploy again.
But how does this change then from the what we call ambulant version, where you're like, whoa, I gotta check this, you go and check it out?
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So we believe we're in a position where we could be, of course, supporting existing infrastructure. So if you've got a radar station that's surveying that area, then the radar may spot something, but the radar doesn't know, is that a commercial ship? Is that a naval ship? Is that it can't do it.
Could we get into this a bit more?
We can have a drone that. So I'm so sorry. So the radar spots it. The drone can then go deploy straight away.
And how? But you have to help me a bit here also, because we're all new to this. Like, so radars, what do they see?
So the radar will pick up an object,
it's like a blip,
on board, and it'll know the position and it'll know the vector. Yeah. For most commercial shipping, the vessel also has an ID that it broadcasts out, so you'll be able to use that to associate to true. Yeah. But we have already today, we have these dark fleets of vessels. So dark vessels are vessels that are moving either where they've modified the transmission, so they're a few kilometers off from where they say they really are. So they see this in fishing fleets, where fishing fleets want to cross over borders and fish areas where the fish happen to be, but actually they don't have a license, or it's out of their territory. Or it's a vessel that just doesn't want to be recognized that time, so it'll just turn it off and can maneuver around. And of course, satellites give you a route to sort of survey over, and you can pick up by correlating that AIS data, that tracker data.
So without you guys, that's the strategy I would use. I'll do my radar, and if I get a ping back with like I'm telling who I am, I'm like, okay, great. But if they're not giving anything, I'll say, here's a dark ship, and I will possibly then wait until there's a satellite going over to get a picture of what this is.
So you could wait for a satellite, and you'd have to wait, and for that could be up 24 hours. It could be longer. You need to know the weather's going to be good on that time, and you're going to have to hope that the ship hasn't moved. So you got to know where it is, and even then, you might get in a classification of the size of the ship, but you might be able to root out actually who owns it and what's it doing in that area. You have an option. You could deploy a manned aircraft, so you could fly an aircraft out there to orbit around and see it, but that comes with a lot of cost. And time to deploying and reach that zone.
Is it a thing that they kind of have to prioritize then? Like, do we even fly here and check, or do we just let it go?
Yeah, you've got to make that choice, and then also there's just if you're thinking about radar gets blocked by obstacles. So as soon as you start going into the Arctic regions, if you've got an iceberg near to your radar, then obviously you create quite a dark zone shadow on the other side.
Oh yeah, because like
so you don't know what's happening in that area, and then there's large coastline areas that just aren't even covered by radar services, and radar services sort of 50, 60 nautical miles out, they're not going sort of the
and we have the curvature of the Earth as well. Like it just doesn't work eventually because it's curves over.
So we're offering you a solution at a sort of a fraction of the cost of a radar service that we can rapidly deploy and brings you the same marine domain awareness of what's passing through that area, plus the fact you can have actual imagery of what that vessel is doing at that time. And as you described, you can ID that vessel by its name. You can make those choices around, do you want to survey a huge area very, very quickly, or actually is there an area you want to focus on? So we can change the altitude of the aircraft. We can fly lower, and by flying lower, we get a higher resolution image of the aircraft, so we can survey around. So if you think about the recent cases of vessels being accused of dragging anchor cables anchor lines over data cables.
I love they're accused. It's like, who knows if they...
But who knows, because you weren't there at that time.
That's right, I wasn't there. Who knows?
So we would have a solution that will allow you to actually operate a drone and track that vessel and understand what was it doing in that region.
And we could even have with your, I'd love to have some graphics on this I can show, but like you have it looks like Google Maps kind of, and you can just pull out like a region. I want to cover this region, and it calculates like how many drones you need and how often do they fly and so on, like and what altitude. And we could have this between between Finland and Estonia, for example. There's only one or two cables there. We could easily have, that's not even a large area for you guys. Yeah. You guys are used to like Greenland, Atlantic, huge space. So we could just, I think with 10 drones or something, we could cover that whole space back and forth continuously. Whoever goes over that freaking cable line.
So that would be our objective.
That's my objective too.
We
Let's do it together.
We want to sell. We call them ISR bubbles. So we want to sell those bubbles over that region, and then provide people with the intelligence of what is happening in that area.
Yeah, buy now, 50% off. Get it now where it's hot. No, but I mean, I think that that we are not doing this yet. I'm getting. I mean, I can't make these decisions, but like, there's nothing like it. There's no thing there. They are manned aircraft. Then there are some drones, but they're still manned. The last time I spoke, there's one that they kind of built together in Finland and some other countries were kind of building their own thing, and they need 2 pilots there, to manage it. I'm like, but I understand that's what they did, but I'm like, I'm happy you put all the money and effort to making this, but like, you now have a working option that works in real Arctic conditions, continuously, and you could pilot it by being a teenager. You can click. You just need to click on it with the mouse, like click, fly here, and it does it. I love it. It's so easy.
So the system was operating in Greenland in February. We're back up in May for more testing, and then we take the full system, which includes the roboticized hangar, up in November, December, and then go and show that working.
Yes, Finland, please buy it ASAP, please. Yes, thank you. Every Baltic country needs to have this. There's no option. I'm not selling you here, but. But I really think that we should use it. Well, so how does this change how to do surveillance? What type of things can we do that wasn't really possible before, now when we have this?
So I think there's a core mission around border protection, understanding vessels interdicting into your water, and any sort of the hybrid warfare threats around data cables. But when you start to have these vessels operating and you collect the data set of your maritime environment, it's the other customers you can layer onto that we think is very powerful. So if you're a country and you acquire our system and you collect that intelligence, you can then use it multiple times after that. So you could use it to understand your fisheries. You could think about, is everyone fishing in our area, got a license, they should be here. You can use it to understand border control. You can think about just general vessel movements. But you can also start to work, as we're doing right now, with universities in Bergen and in the UK as well, around the environmental use cases as well. So at the minute we're monitoring glaciers in Greenland to understand how fast they're retreating, and then use that data to start to interface, connect into their climate change models, and provide them greater insights into actually what's happening around the world.
And I guess we do with the animals. I was thinking about that, like the counting animals and stuff. Because it can be hard. I mean, polar bears, I guess, are the worst because they're like hard to spot in there, dispersed. But like, there any animal population, how would you otherwise try to calculate how many polar bears there are, or some other animal, because they move around and they're not at the same place and you rarely see them.
They do.
Just estimate, like, do we have something between, I don't know, 1,000 and 10,000 polar bears? Nobody knows.
And it moves, and then you can move into commercial markets as well. So the oil and gas industry very interested in the kind of health of their assets. So you've got an oil rig transiting. Can you give us a survey around that vessel? Let us see the structure. You can. There's opportunities into forestries as well. So you just come a little bit on land. There's a lot of interest in sort of, okay, what are the trees that are in this population? What's the fire risk therefore because of those trees? So the ISR bubble that we're able to throw up, we think will have multiple users. And whilst we're strongly focused on that defense utilization first, we think when you're working with government organizations, they'll find other routes to bring this through as well. I'm sorry, I lost my point with the door opening.
No, but anyway, there's more usage for ISR. So he's been in several meetings in a row. Let's see if he edits this out. We're talking about the Persistent ISR bubble. But so how about you? Why did you end up in Marble? What's your story?
So for me, I heard about Marble and had a great chance to meet the team, and I was blown away with both their technology solution, but also the passion they had for their mission, which ultimately we want to go away and survey the whole maritime environment. So we would like to survey every bit of ocean and sea out there. So two-thirds of the planet is water.
So have you been to the Pacific? It's quite large.
Two-thirds of the planet is water. And at the minute, if you want to survey an area, it's about $1,000 per square kilometer. So it's just economically not viable to go and survey that much land.
So, or it used to be.
But we bring through our solution, we bring that down, we think, at least 100 times. So we start to bring out the ability for people to go and understand their local waterways in a more economic way, that they can then think about layering on all these use cases as well. So whilst we start with those land-based options where we got this sort of pallet-sized hangar that we deploy, we're also looking at the shipborne opportunities. So almost effectively, how could you turn every ship into an aircraft carrier?
Competing with tech ever. But I've been looking at, I saw the example from, as you mentioned, the price of surveying. I was like, even using drones, I was quite shocked. That what you guys are doing is that you're like democratizing surveillance.
That's the intention.
Because it's like, because the cost of even sending out the drones from a ship or something, like, it was just incredible.
But that's because
even if it's autonomously when it's doing the work, it was still expensive.
And we see that because when you look at the drones that are being deployed, they've been developed under a different thesis of what the customer requires. So we've focused on those high speed.
Okay, well, what's the difference?
Drone strip.
Can you go into that? What's the difference with what do you call it? The current solutions and what you're doing differently?
So we've taken a different approach to the key performance parameters around a drone for our market. So often the focus is on endurance, which drives you to a certain aerodynamic shape and a certain operating speed, and therefore the area you can cover.
But let's say like they go slow and steady and stay over an area for 10 hours or whatever they are, 12, 16 hours or something.
And therefore, and that drives a certain platform size, therefore a certain cost, and a certain footprint that is necessary. Because if you're going to go put an aircraft into the air and know that it's going to fly 24, 48 hours, it comes with a certain maintenance regime, a certain number of people need to support it. And we call it sort of the tooth to tail. So for that tooth, that aircraft operating in that area? How big is the tail of the body that's required to support it working?
So like the larger they get, the tail gets further away or longer?
Yeah. And then and all of that tail has cost and people. And if you're going to go deploy an asset, you've got to deploy the people with it. Therefore, you need to also support those people as well. So
is that a general rule when it comes to like flying equipment? Like the larger it gets, the tail gets longer?
I don't know if it's linear.
No, but let's say
if you think about,
there's some curve of some sort.
But there's an organization that's necessary there to support the asset.
Yeah.
And our focus from the very beginning has been, how do we design an asset that reduces that tooth to tail ratio as significantly as possible? So therefore with that in mind, we've designed an asset that is smaller, that is faster, and whilst we still have, we think, a great range around 500 kilometers.
It's incredible.
It's focused around how you then rapidly operate these aircraft around a region to understand what's happening and then relay them. So bring it back in charge and relay from this.
I mean, so unreal, the logic is like, what if one side is like, we have one thing up there for a long time. You're like, no, we have small things go real fast and often.
Yes.
I think I see the logic. I mean, I like...
But with a focus on, therefore, bringing the costs down so that people can access this service.
That's a weird side effect. It didn't have to be like that. I think it could have been like, because use more of them, they're just as expensive, but they're faster or something. It could be. But yeah, it's crazily cheap comparatively.
And you talked a little bit about before, our focus really is on how do we create that kind of API level that you can go in, you can pick an area on our map and say, hey, I want to survey this area. We work with you, obviously, on what that takes, but we deploy the hangar to that area. We operate the drones for you. We provide you the imagery. So we don't expect people to become operators of drones because they want to understand what's happening in that region.
I mean, I've been fortunate. Like, I'm not saying I've expected this, but like I haven't learned how to pilot a drone yet. And if you just wait long enough, I'll never have to learn to do it because it will be all automatic. And if there's anything piloting done, it's so easy because it'll be like dumbed down for normal people.
And this is done in concert with the local regulators, right? Because to operate a drone, they call it BVLOS, so beyond visual line of sight.
Yeah.
You have to have a permit. So we have to demonstrate our organization and its ability to go and operate aircraft safely in that area.
You're crazy.
So we have that
doing it in
capability.
freaking Greenland. Like, it's like if you want to test your stuff anywhere and it's like blizzards and like ice winds, it's like, and you did it in February.
Yeah, it was
dark
minus 20 and it was about 35 knots of gust winds.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a pleasant environment for the operator.
So you have been, I think the level of capability of your drones is now, it's like unmatched. They're so advanced, so far ahead of anything else I've heard. It's incredible.
And it's designing for that environment as well. So we've had to make certain design choices around our drone in terms of the technology we've embedded in there to mean it can operate in that zone persistently.
Yeah. Right. But you're new in the company. You've been some weeks, but he's doing great, right? But so I was thinking, I would love to hear some insights from you as a beginner in the kind of this world. What's coming at you that's like, I didn't know about this, or like some insights that you have? Because your background was in Rolls-Royce, kind of like name dropping here, but you did well there for a long time. So I'm curious now, what are you seeing as what's this world like for you?
So yeah, I'm new into Marvel. I'm 3 weeks into the company, so I apologize if I spent some time considering my answers for you. But I think the biggest point for me has been the speed of iteration and the design activity. Mm-hmm. I joined on a Monday in a design meeting around some key changes they wanted to make to the platform. And on Friday, the drone was outside flying. And I was going, okay. And that was quite a big design change, involving sort of 3D printing new parts, building the whole thing together, and the guys taking it up with a plan of what they're going to do on that mission. So the pace of the engineering, I think, is fantastic to see how quickly we can iterate through. I think the pull from the market at the moment is really positive. So I had a fantastic opportunity before this in Rolls-Royce to be working on the urban air mobility market. So these VTOL aircraft, these air taxis, and I believe they're coming. I believe we will all have an opportunity.
They're here already. They're in the US somewhere. Yeah.
But the commercial opportunity, you paying money to go sit on one of those aircraft, I think that's coming, and we can talk afterwards about how
exactly
we can make that happen. But the market pull here is even stronger. So the sort of the end users within the Arctic that we're talking to are very passionate about having this capability. So it's great for us because we get to listen to them, understand exactly what they need, think about those real use cases.
Can we stay on that for a sec then? The ones that I know is the dark ships pulling cables, but just being dark in general. Why is that a problem? Why do we care about the dark ships if they're not pulling cables?
Oh, we care about them because they could be part of an embargoed fleet. So it could be somebody moving oil around the world. We don't want that vessel to be transiting between these locations and deploying that cargo. We care about it because it could be maybe a spy vessel sort of moving through, picking up radar, so just picking up comms data.
Sorry. It sounds stupid here, but the ships are very large. They are enormous. But to me, it sounds like when we spot them, we're like, whoa. What is this? And I'm like, it's huge. How don't we know where it came from or who is on the ship? How do we not know that?
So these vessels are deliberately taking steps so they can't be identified. So, they whilst at sea, and don't forget the oceans are massive, right? So the area you're surveying is huge and the cost is available.
So we would have a harbor, let's say in Murmansk or something, and are there like so many ships, or like when they go out there, we lose track of them?
So I think everyone has a pretty good idea as the ships leave the ports and they start transiting. Yes, you can see it as it goes off the coastline. Yeah. But once it's left the coastline, there are instances where vessels change the name. They change the ID numbers.
So let's say I would go close to each other and we just switch our names, I wouldn't really know which one is which anymore, unless I go really close and look at the ship physically.
So the vessels are making the operators of the vessels are making deliberate steps to mask the identity and ownership of that vessel, such that they can then transit.
And I realize
we have an opportunity here with this solution to really track them through. Yeah. So dark vessels is a significant issue, but it is the opportunities with our solution in the defensive market don't end there. So if you think about understanding sort of where those vessels are, because defense vessels don't have to transmit. So if you're lucky, you've caught them on a satellite.
Oh, so they're not even supposed to transmit.
They don't have to. No.
Wow, okay.
And then as you start to think about the sort of availability of radar to cover off your coastline, it only goes so far.
I was thinking about the U-boats. That's the one I want to get to as well. Like the Norwegians chase new U-boats all the time using their, I think, Sea Lion, whatever they have a helicopter that spots, and it's like this cat and mouse game. Like where's the sub? Because when they go up, you can kind of spot it, and then when it goes down, you gotta do like a sonar, and they check where it is and stuff like that. They just chase U-boats around, and I'm realizing like getting a helicopter out, I'm like, it's kind of expensive. Like I might be known as the anti-helicopter guy soon, I think, because helicopter seems to be useless now. I'm sorry, but they're not very useful in many scenarios compared to drones, which is the same thing, cheaper, faster, better in every way and form, basically. So that I was thinking that it could be used to like also monitor submarines.
So we think there is an absolute use case in anti-submarine warfare. So our ability either to spot a periscope, we haven't tested that. That's something we absolutely
we're not there yet, maybe, but
diesel electric subs, they need to come up and snorkel, and that's a good opportunity to sort of to identify where they are and track them. The ability for us to respond to a potential identification of a sub as well. So that's what the helicopter's doing. Somebody's picked something up or a satellite and said, right, go over here. We believe we'll get there much faster, much cheaper. So
I think
we can support that. So.
But one more thing about the dark ships that I wanted to stay on. So that they could be, so they go out, they try to not let you know who you are. And as soon as they go out, eventually we don't know, let's say there's 20 ships leaving harbor. We will lose track of those 20 ships on average. Like they will reappear eventually, but we will not know. And depending on where we put our radars, and like the radar is not covering everything, right? Normally, and you get this radio shadow also. Like, and if you like have something before, like it's one ship in front of the other, it blocks the radar signal behind it. So there seems to be all kinds of issues with picking up ships. And I'm just thinking about the White Sea, like the north of Norway, and that's kind of small. And I guess as we get out to some larger body of water, or like in the Arctic where there's not enough radars, I guess, to even pick up whatever's going on, then we will not know until we like see the ship or it picks up on the radar again. So we would have to guess, who is this now? We know that the 20 ships have left Murmansk. Let's say we know that there might be hundreds of these ships in the Arctic. I don't even know. Yeah, let's say there's 100 ships. Like, okay, there's one out of these 100 is coming. I don't know which one it is. So that, and then this was outside of, I think this was around Iran or something, but like before this war we're talking about, but they were docking ships together, moving cargo from one ship to another. Yep. So that one ship would not have on the cargo they shouldn't have, and then it dock with another ship, is transferred over, and in this case they were using satellite to pick this up. But even with the satellite, they had to know the ship and all the identification to pick which ship it is. But with you, it would be like, we have something is docking it, or we could just send it out and we would know, because we would see from the side which ship it is. Yeah.
So the seaboard terrain is absolutely fundamental for us as a global society, and it's more than 80% of the world's global trade is at sea. And the majority of that is being done absolutely lawfully. We're focused on those instances where people are deliberately taking steps to avoid being detected. And whether that's for anti-narcotics, or whether that's for border protection, or whether it's in the case of, we've been talking about a little bit around sort of hybrid warfare, people looking at data. We think we have a solution that will support governments in identifying those vessels, specifically what was happening on that vessel at that time, as well as and then doing that in a way that gives them irrefutable evidence if they want to pursue those claims.
And that's good as well, because you said, like, allegedly pulling these cables, or however you said it. And you said, like, because we weren't there to see it. I mean, if we would have seen, like, there's a cable, there's a anchor is out.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been a very clear indication that
or if a vessel is, I think some of the stories have more recently been about vessels deploying submersible teams to then go look down, investigate what's happening at the seabed at that point.
Yeah.
If you're winching a sub on and off aboard a vessel, that's something we could observe. I wrote it down here. It's called subkinetic. There was a guy in his NATO Diana program when they kicked off this, like 6 months ago roughly. He was using this word subkinetic. He was not expecting to have what we call a kinetic war between, in this case, Russia and NATO. But he said he would call subkinetic. There will be all kinds of warfare still already going on. But, like, just think about it, or like, it's not, maybe he didn't use the word connect, sublethal or something he called it. Yeah.
So it's like, we're not really killing people, but we're messing with your stuff. Like, and for example, the cable pulling is one of those messes that's going on. There was another one in Sweden. There was an outage in one of the islands called Gotland, and the half the island was out of electricity, and it said it was error. I'm like, So we've never had this error ever happen before, and now suddenly it happens. Half the island without electricity, and that's the favorite island for Russians to make fake attacks on their plants. I'm like, there was another place that had this electrical. Have you seen this electrical transformation station? They're small. Usually they have graffiti on them. They're standing on the side of the street. So at least we have them in Sweden and Finland. They're like little metal boxes, basically.
Yeah.
And there was some town that they got, these were sabotaged or attacked, and so they dug them all down into the ground. I said, it's a normal precaution. Nothing special. I'm like, well. We seem to have, there's some subkinetic stuff going on, it feels like to me, or sublethal.
I have 3 kids, and the time I now have to spend sort of keeping them informed of everything that's happening around the world, but trying to do that in a way that doesn't instill fear is quite significant, I think, more than I ever remember as my own childhood.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting time that we currently operate in, and why I think these sorts of solutions that we're developing are really useful, because it starts to bring clarity to what's happening in that marine environment.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right. Is there something do you think that we're not talking about, or something you would like to mention that you think is not highlighted enough in this world, defense space, or the defense tech? That's my angle here.
I think I would have to be complimentary here to the NATO Diana organization and the wider innovation fund. I think I've been blown away by the support they're offering startups to really come into this market. Not just great opportunities to network with other startup scale-ups in the market, but the access they're giving us to meet with defense organizations to take part in defense key events such as the Repimus technology event in Portugal later this year. I think NATO is really demonstrating their commitment to supporting new entrants into the market and make sure they got the latest tech to support them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be happy to talk with you guys after that, like a month or so after. But it's going to be really exciting to see what you're able to do there.
We're really looking forward to Repimus. Yeah, we're bringing a whole system down, looking to do an anti-submarine warfare.
Oh, here we go. Look at that.
And then also do a spotting a dark vessel. So the two key concepts we want to do.
And I think they'd be surprised. I mean, the thing is, it's hard for you guys to understand here, but how fast does a normal like ISR, like one of these like hovering eyes in the sky, how fast are they going?
These are the kind of the medium altitude, long endurance ones are jet powered aircraft. They can go quite quickly.
Well, like the drone.
But they're designed to loiter, right? They're designed to stay in the same location at a very slow speed, and that's how they bring their capability through. Our ability to go 160 kilometers an hour gives us a real ability to go rapidly deploy. And it's the fact that we've got that hangar solution that means you're pressing a button and we're deploying the unit and it's going. You're not. It's
like
calling up air crews.
To visualize for people, it looks like well, I mean, I've seen a drawing, but it's like a, what do you call this? A container, a kind of shipping container with what's it called, folded, like with what do you call it? Doors in the top, and it's open these hatches. You open these hatches, bloop, 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 and they fly out, do the thing, and then you rotate. They come in, they charge inside of the little, like a beehive or something. Like they go in there, charge.
So that was certainly the initial concept.
Okay,
you're absolutely right. So we've modified now.
The rapid iteration is coming out.
So we're down to a NATO pallet size now. So we've got a NATO pallet size solution that holds 4 drones. So from that one pallet, we can deploy and operate 4 drones.
Nice.
And that's what we think is the right kind of target, because it's not only about how do you get something that would fit onto the back of a truck or onto the back of a ship, but also we're considering, well, how could we deploy these things out the back of a transport aircraft? Yeah. So could we, when you think, especially when you think about remote locations, can we parachute this out, have it land safely in a region, self-deploy, and then operate? So
that'd be so sexy. That's so nice. So then you can then you can cover anything.
Yeah,
that's the idea. That's incredible. Yeah. I mean that. Okay, well, whatever you got at that Repmus, I'm really excited to hear what happens after that. All right, but then Matthew, thank you very much for coming to the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.